أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي آمين يا رب العالمين. Assalamu alaikum everyone. I hope all of you are doing great. In this lesson we are going to see what Zarf is. Alright, so we're going to understand this entire thing in three parts. First, we're going to address the concept, and we're going to see what the patterns of different zaruf are, and then finally the list of commonly used zarf. Okay, but first of all, we need to see what exactly is zarf. So before beginning our lesson, as always, we're going to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make this task easy for us to teach as well as to understand. So Rabbi Yasir, Wala Tu'assir, wa Tamim bil Khair, Amin Ya Rabbal Alameen. Okay, so Zarf. Simple things first. Zarf simply tells us when something happened and or will happen, and where something happened or will happen. Okay, so simply when and where something happens, will happen, or something that happens there as a continuous process. Okay, so simply put, time and space or time and place. All right, so when and where equals to zarf. Okay, so let's move on to the concept. First of all, now, I'm taking this from the very beginning so that you don't have to have any prior knowledge or information about what exactly Zarf is. It is for total beginners, like all the previous lectures, okay? All right. So these are some sample sentences. What I need you to do is pause the video and highlight the words or point out the words that in any way tell you um, about the place or time of any action. All right. So pause the video for about a couple of seconds and just give it a read. Okay. So you already have the highlighted words here or line answers here. The word lecture hall tells us the place of where an action happens. Okay, the action of teaching happens in a lecture hall, right? So the lecture hall was crowded in the morning, and morning, the word morning tells us that it is the time. Okay, so if we have got time here and we have got space here or place here. Okay, since these two words tell us about the time and space of any action that happens over there in that time or place, they're going to be called as zarf. All right. Similarly, the sky above us is studded with stars. The word above in this sentence tells us the direction or simply the space. All right. So the word above is going to be a zarf as well. In the next sentence, the non-smoking zones were extended throughout the city. Okay, the non-smoking zones. The word zones is is indicative um, of space of space or place. So that's why we're going to say that it is a zarf. And finally, high screen time is a major issue of this era. All right. So the word era is actually telling us about the time. All right. So therefore, it's going to be a zarf. Okay. Now, instead of saying time and space over and over again, we have, thankfully, specific words or terminologies that I would want you to remember in this regard. Okay. So, because I do not urge or insist for you guys to memorize any terminology unless absolutely necessary. This one is something that's going to save you time and a lot of words in explanation in your head when you're translating different things. Okay, so zarf comes in two flavors. We already know it, time and space. You can remember, okay, and the zarf that shows us time is going to be called zarf zaman. This word zaman is actually close to what we have in Urdu zamana. Okay, so it means a period or an era. Okay, or simply time. So Zarf Zaman is going to be the Zarf that tells you the time. Okay, for example, the word morning, the word era. Okay, yeah. So these are your time, your Zarf Zaman. Okay, then Zarf Makan. Makan means a house in Urdu. Okay, Makan means house, and well, it's a place. All right. So Zarf Makan means um, any zarf that tells you space or place. Okay, so for example, lecture hall. The word lecture hall is zarf makan. The word above is also a kind of zarf makan because it is telling you the place or the direction. Okay, then zones. The word zones is also a zarf makan. All right, so I hope that the two flavors of zarf zaman and makan are clear along with what they mean. All right, so let's move on. Okay, now we know what Zarf Zaman and Zarf Makan are. Now we need to know one more thing about Zarf Makan and Zarf Zaman. Sometimes there is going to be a word, a Zarf Zaman, that also gives you an action associated with it. So you can just know just by the look at the word, you can infer what action exactly might be going on over there. Okay, for example, the word school. You know, the act of teaching and learning happens in school. Okay, so sometimes some zuruf are going to be there, some zarf are going to be there, that are going to tell you exactly the type of action that is associated with them. Okay, but sometimes there are going to be some zarf zaman or zarf makan that are not going to tell you any action associated with them. They're more of a general term. Okay, so I've got a couple of examples here. Let's study them and then we're going to move forward. So the sentence, the school is behind this stadium. Now, we're going to analyze this sentence word by word, okay? The word school. If you look at it on its own, can you infer any action that is associated with the word school? Of course, you can. The act or the action of teaching and learning happens in the school. Okay? The word behind, is it zarf makan or zarf zaman? This is zarf makan, right? Why? Because it is telling you about the space or the place. However, um, just on its own, does this word give you any kind of action that is associated with it? No, right? Um, Similarly, the word stadium, it is also a zarf makan, right? Why? Because it is the name of a place, or simply it's the place, right? And just by looking at the word stadium on its own, can you infer any kind of action that is associated with it? Yes, there is. Sports, right? Now, so uh, the word school does have an action associated with it, and the word stadium also has an action associated with it, but the word behind does not. Okay, on its own. Now, another example. The mall is full in the evening, especially before the sunset. The word mall is zarf makan, right? And it's a special kind of zarf makan because it has an action associated with it, the action of shopping, right? Is full in the evening. Now, does the word evening, first of all, is the word evening zarf makan or zarf zaman? It is zarf zaman, right? Time. However, is there any action associated with the word evening on its own? No, right? There could be tons of things that could be happening or not happening in the evening time. So it is just a zarf zaman without any special or specific action associated to it. Especially before the sunset. The word before is also a zarf zaman, right? Because it is indicative of time. However, it does not have any specific action associated to it explicitly, right? And then the word sunset. The word sunset is zarf zaman because it is indicative of a time period, or simple time, right? And does it have any kind of action associated with it? It kind of does. It tells you that the sun is setting. Okay. So, yeah, this word sunset has an action associated with it explicitly. So why am I teaching you this thing? Let me elaborate. Okay, that's how. So here we've got another bunch, not bunch, just a couple of vocabulary for you. Okay, so instead of saying this thing over and over again, that this serves a man or makan has an action associated with it or not associated with it, we simply have two simple terms, and they're going to tell you if the zarf has any kind of action associated with it or not. Okay, so if the zarf zaman or zarf makan has any kind of action specific to it, that is called ism zarf. All right, and if there is no action that is specifically associated with the zarf, whether zarf zaman or makan, it is simply called zarf. Okay, so ism zarf and only zarf. Only zarf has no action associated with it, but the ism zarf has an action associated with it, okay, on its own. And of course, then we've got zarf zaman, zarf makan here, and ism zarf zaman, ism zarf makan, okay. And you already have the examples for these words here, okay. So if I were to say, okay, you've got examples here. Now, time and space with action. We're going to study just a couple more things about it, and then we're going to proceed to the list of and patterns of the ism zarf. Now, time and space with action, or simply ism zarf. Ism zarf zaman is going to tell you a specific time that has a particular action associated with it. So, time and action. For example, sunset or maghrib. Okay, the time of ghurub of the sun. So, time plus action equals ism zarf zaman. Similarly, space plus action, for example, the word school, okay, it is going to be ism zarf makan. For example, the word school in Arabic you call it a madrasa, and madrasa is the place where the act of dars giving and dars taking. Dars means a lesson, keeps on happening continuously. And these ism zarf can be of any Arab, all right, because being an ism, of course, their property is to have some kind of Arab, right? So they can be, so the word Maghribun, for example, it is an ism zarf zaman, right? So it is going to be, it can be in, it's an ism zarf basically. Okay, so it can be in the rafa form, nasab form, or jar form, so, or the word madrasatun. It can be in rafa, nasab, or jar form. So any Arab can be uh, they can be of any Arab. All right. So the word study zone actually is ism zarf makan because it is a zone. Okay, a place, indicative of a place where study keeps on happening. Then the word playtime, since it has been connected with the hyphen, we are actually making it a compound word, and it is going to be the ism zarf zaman, all right, because it's telling you the time of playing. And shopping center, once again, is going to be the ism zarf makan. Now, what about simple zarf? or the ones that do not have any action associated with them. The word night, for example, okay, Laylan in Arabic, it is simple zarf zaman, okay? And the word above, for example, fawqa, it is going to be simple zarf. Which one? Zarf makan, okay? Now, these simple zarf, the ones that are simple zarf, that are not ism zarf, they can only be in nasab form. This is very important. Okay, why? Because they actually answer the question of when and where in a statement. So they're actually the detail of any question of any statement. Okay, so yeah, they are always going to be in nasab form, while the ism zarf can be either in rafa, nasab, or jar form. All right. Okay. Now, now I got two sentences here, and just pause the video for a bit, and without looking at the answers, try and label each of the highlighted or the underlined words as either zarf makan, zarf zaman, ism zarf makan, or ism zarf zaman. Okay, and then match the answers. Okay, I hope that you got the word library as ism zarf zaman is if ism zarf makan, because it is going to tell you the action associated with it, the action of reading, right? The word behind, once again, only zarf makan because there isn't any specific action associated with the word behind. Similarly, the word mall is ism zarf makan because you know that the act of shopping happens here. Then the mall is full in the evening, especially before the sunset. The word mall is ism zarf makan. The word evening is only zarf zaman because no specific action is associated with it, especially before the sunset. The word sunset here is ism zarf zaman because the act of sunsetting is associated with the word sunset. So ism zarf zaman. All right. I hope that you have understood these things now. And now we are going to proceed to the next part. Okay, let's begin with the part two of this lesson. Now, we are going to study the patterns, the kinds of patterns of ism zarf, and they are, as you can see, divided into three types. First of all, you've got the Masadir meme, the ones that start with meme, okay? And actually, not just meme, but meme with a fatha, okay? So they've got a zabar or a fatha on them. So, for example, you've got maf'ilatan, maf'alatan, maf'ulatun, all right? And then maf'alan and maf'ilan, okay? So, once these words pop out in front of you anywhere, you're going to understand, or you're just going to make sense out of it, that which pattern has been used. Okay, so right now I'm not going to tell you to memorize these patterns. It's not important. Just know that these patterns exist. Okay. um all right, next you've got the upgraded verbs. Upgraded verbs. Now, when we start the section on verbs, I'm going to tell you that verbs are actually of two kinds: the upgraded ones or the regular ones. Okay, so right now do not fuss over what the upgraded verbs are or the regular verbs are. They are going to be covered in section D, inshallah. Right now, just know that there are two kinds of verbs, regular and upgraded ones, and that there are ways of making ism zarf from those verbs. Okay. Now, same as ism maf'ul. So these patterns, the upgraded words, they are actually the same as ism maf'ul. Okay. So if you have already watched the video lecture on ism maf'ul and maf'ul, you would have a better understanding of what ism maf'ul is. Okay. The ism zarf that is formed on the pattern or from the family of upgraded verbs is actually same as ism maf'ul. So the patterns are going to be the same. They are going to start with a mu, meme with a pesh or dhamma on it, and fatha on R2, the second root letter. Okay, so muf Mufta'alan, for example. Let me get the high magnifying glass on. So mufta'alan, then you've got mufa'alan, alright, mufa'alan, mutafa'alan, okay, mustaf'alan, okay, mutafa'alan, and muf'alan, alright. So these are going to be your patterns for the ism zarf from upgraded verbs, alright. Next we've got the regular verbs. And the patterns of ism zarf derived from regular verbs. There are just three of them. Okay, these three, they are the basic patterns that I will want you to remember and memorize. Okay, these three. This is just a mubalagha, the exaggerated form. Okay, and this pattern is actually just the plural or the jama mukassar. Okay, so these three are the basic ones. This one is for the exaggeration or mubalagha, and this one is the jama mukassir. Okay, so let's see what these are. The first pattern is maf'alun. Okay, maf'alun. For example, maktabun. So if you place it as ism zarf makan, maktabun is actually going to be a place where the act of writing happens. So basically a desk. Alright? Maktabun, the place of writing. It's the pattern of maf'alun. Okay? Then maf'ilun. Okay? This was alun, this is ilun. So maf'ilun is another pattern, and the example is the word masjidun. Once again, the place where the act of sajda happens. Okay, so masjidun, right? Once again, ism zarf makan. Then the word mif'alun. Mif'alun, for example, miqatun. Okay, now based on based on the meanings of the root word or the root letter, you're going to classify the word as ism zarf makan or ism zarf zaman. Okay, so it's not a given that this pattern is only for ism zarf zaman or only for ism zarf makan. It's not the case. It's all dependent on the meaning of the root word. Okay, or the root letters. That's going to tell you that thing. Okay, then the word that is used for the pattern that is used for mubalagha. So you've got maf'alatun. This is the pattern. Any root letters that are used on the pattern of maf'alatun, for example, the root letters darasa or dal, re, or dal, ra, and sin, when they are used in the pattern of maf'alatun, they're going to become madrasatun. This is going to add mubalagha to it. Okay, so yeah, so this is the ism zarf makan as shown by the earth here. Okay, so mubalagha, that the act, now what kind of mubalagha is it? Mubalagha of continuity, basically. Okay, that the act of continuous teaching and learning happens in madrasatun. Okay, so this is what. And then you've got the word mafa'ilu. It is the jama mukassir pattern. For example, masajidu. What you need to remember is that it is jama mukassir. Okay, all right. Now let's do a little drill before we move on to the list of commonly used zarf. Okay, the root letters are kataba. They are it means to write. Okay, so if you put it in the word, I mean, you can form the zarf maktabun. Okay, maf'alun, so maktabun, and of course this is going to be the writing zone or simply the desk. Okay, so it's going to be zarf, ism zarf, makan. Then you've got the root letters of sheen, ra, qaf, right? So this becomes mashriqun. Here it is, right? Now, this is actually a dual word, so uh, it's going to serve a dual purpose. So ism zarf makan and ism zarf zaman. This is a clock. This is an earth. Okay. So ism zarf makan and ism zarf zaman, and it means sunrise or zone or time. Okay. It is the time of sunrise, or it is the place where, I mean, it's a horizon where the sun rises from. Then you've got dal ra sin. It means a lesson. Okay. Now you're going to use it in the word in the pattern of maf'alatun. So it's going to become madrasatun, a place. Okay, so ism zarf makan, lesson zone. Okay, literal meanings, lesson zone, or simply school. Okay, similarly, the word sajada, I mean, the root letters of sin, jim, and dal, then waqata, the time of deadline. Okay, then the word kharaja, the exit zone. Okay, here it is used in the word mukhrajun, right? Rahaba becomes marhaban, the welcome zone. Okay, so this is actually a greeting that all of us are aware of, but we just didn't know that it was actually an ism zarf makan. Okay, so marhaban means a welcome zone. All right. So these are just a few examples, and now we arrive at the last part of the lesson, which is the list of commonly used zarf. Okay. Now, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail to explain these words because most of these have their ample explanations written here, and you by this time you should already know quite a couple of a lot of these things that are already written here. Okay, so just to prevent the lecture from getting too long, I'm not going to get into a lot of details here. Okay. However, you're always welcome to ask me to ask me any questions that you have in any of these lessons. I can be contacted via different platforms. Actually, you'll find something on YouTube or Facebook, or you can directly message me on WhatsApp. Okay, so I'm always open to answering your questions. All right, so first of all, we have to do a few words from Zarf Zaman. Okay, the word um, is qablu, means before. The word ba'du means after. Okay, by now you should be able to translate this phrase in your head. Lillahil amru min qablu wa min ba'du. Okay, now the first question that should pop in your head is that why is the rafa form used after min? Shouldn't it be min qabli? Well, the explanation is right here. Okay, uh, but right now, let's go stepwise. The translation should be apparent in or clear in your head. The command is exclusively for Allah, before as well as after. Right? Now, what is the deal with min qablu and why is it not min qabli? Whenever the muzaf ilayh is omitted, okay, the muzaf does not carry a kasra in spite of being mashhur. Okay, so basically this sentence is lillahil amru min qabli kulli shay'in wa min ba'di kulli shay'in, right? But this is actually the muzaf ilayh. Okay, so you know how the things about omission in Arabic work. So kulli shay'in is actually omitted. Okay, and once that happens, the word qabl becomes, or it drops its kasra and gets a dhamma like this. But it is actually still majroor. Okay, so just by dropping its kasra and adopting the dhamma, this word qabl doesn't become. I mean, does not lose its identity. Okay, so it is still majroor. It just doesn't carry its kasra. Okay, so This is the deal with min qablu. All right. Now the next word is amsi. It means yesterday. Ghadun, tomorrow, is when. Now there are two words that sound similar. First one is, the second one is a. Okay, both of them mean when. Okay, however, when whenever you need to talk about the past, you use the word is, and whenever you need to use the word when for present, you use the word isa. Okay, so when is for past, and when I mean is for past, isa is for present. Is also means when, isa also means when. Okay, now there is an interesting thing here. Whenever isa, remember isa is for present, right? Isa is for present. However, whenever isa is followed by any past tense, it actually translates into future tense. That will happen. That will that will happen for sure. Okay, with a confirmation, with a surety. So isa with mazi, with past tense, equals to future tense. So that's how you get the translation of the ayah, iza ja'a nasrullahi wal fathu, right? So it is actually isa of present tense, but if it is if it is paired with a future with a past tense, it becomes future tense, and not just a future tense, it becomes a surety that this is definitely going to happen in the future. Okay, so isa plus mazi is an important thing to look out for, so memorize this one. Yes. Okay, and also it is also used for continuous tense, past tense, and whenever. Okay, so these are the different um, scenarios where you can find this combo. Okay, so for example, what is a maristu? Is a once again present. Maristu is past tense, right? So whenever I get sick, fahuwa yashvini, then he heals me. Okay, this is a very common ayah or part of ayah that is, I mean, that you can see in the hospitals. What is amaristu? Whenever I get sick. Okay, so here this one is translated as whenever I get sick. Okay, next, the word mata. It means when or then, or simply a question when. Okay, for example, mata tasum asum. When you'll fast, then I'll fast. Okay, ayana. It means when. It is used for special and grand events. Okay, so yes, Aluna. They ask ayana yawmuddin. They ask when is the day of judgment. Okay. Bukratun, early morning, asilun, evening, sabahun, morning, laylun, night. Now remember how I told you it's going to be used in some form only. Okay. So in a sentence, of course. So it's going to be laylan. Similarly, naharan, it means daytime. Dahrun, era. Qarnun, generation or century. Okay. Then you've got amun, sanatun, haulun, for the word year. Okay, shahrun, month, alhinu, a long period of time, or simply an era. Okay, ilahinin means for a certain time. Okay, so alhin, long period, a long period. Okay, so al means a long period of time, or simply era, and ilahin is a certain time, for a certain time. Waqtun is time, yawmun is day. Okay, now something about yawm. If the word yawmun is followed by any muzaf alayh, Okay, then it yawmun becomes yawma, not yawmu but yawma. Okay, so the day of, for example, this tanween carrying zeruf carry a fatha in the muzaf form. Okay, so this here, for example, if I say yawmuddin, okay, it is going to be wrong. It's going to be yawmuddin. Why? Because um, well, because the day of judgment, for example. Okay, so the word yawmud becomes muzaf, and of judgment, this is the muzaf ilayh. All right, so in basically in a muzaf ilayh fragment, the word yawmun actually drops its tanween and becomes fatha, and carries a fatha. And this holds true for all the tanween carrying zaruf. Okay, so this is what. Similarly, yawmun plus is kana kaza. It means yawma is in. Okay, so the day when so and so happened. Yawma is in. Similarly, hina plus is kana kaza. Is kana kaza means when so and so. Okay, so hina is in the time when so and so happens. Waqtun waqtun followed by is kana kasa is equal to waqta isu. For example, and it translates to the time when so and so happens. Not too important, but just know that these combinations exist. Okay, okay. Then you've got Java is in plus any present tense or Muzari. This becomes future tense. Okay, for example, Yauma isn't was the day when so and so happened. Okay, so Yauma isn't plus Muzari would become future tense. The day when so and so will happen. Okay, so this is what. Similarly, Hina isn't plus Muzari is equal to future tense. The time when so and so will happen. Okay, all right. Then you've got Sa'atun. It means an hour. Saniyatun, second. Al-an, now. Okay, for example, now you believe. Okay, so qalu, they said, Al-ana jita bil haqqi. They said, now you've come with the truth, or now you've come with the truth. Okay, so these are different ways according to the context how it can be interpreted. So these were your zarf zaman. Okay, now let's see what zarf makan are. Okay. Haysun means where or wherever. Okay. Amama means in front of. Khalfa means behind. Vara'a means way behind. Tahta means below. Fawqa above. Inda means near. Uh, something which is near, but you may or may not have current access to it. Okay. Then you've got Anna, from where, or however you like or wish, or how come. Anna laki haza. From where did this come to you? Okay. Then you've got another example. Anna tajlis ajlis. Wherever you sit, I sit. Then you've got aina. Aina means where. Okay. For example, and if you pair it with ma, okay, then it becomes wherever. Aina ma. Okay, aina plus ma equals to ainama, wherever. Kullu plus ma equals to kullama, whenever. Okay, all right. Aina tajlis ajlis. We had done that already. Wherever you sit, I'll sit. Then you've got lada. Okay, lada and milladun. Milladun. It means near, something which is near, something that you have access to right at this moment. And it also means especially from. Okay, so when I say having current access, it means that, for example, uh, are the car keys near you or close to you? You're going to say yes, they are. But do you currently have access to them? I mean, can you currently get them? If you can, you're going to say lata, all right. And if you do not, if you cannot get them right at this moment, then then you're going to use the word inda. Okay. Then you've got the word tilqa. It means towards. Baina means between. Baina yaday means between the hands. Yani right in front of. Okay. Ha huna means here. Hunaka is there. Hunalika, then or at that time. Samma, it means there or at the very same place and time, at that very place and time. Okay, for example, fa'ainama tuwallu fasamma wajhullahi. So wherever you all might turn, then at that very place is the face of Allah. Okay, so it is the literal meaning of this part of the ayah. Then Yaminan means right, Shimalan means left, Mashriqun east, Maghribun west, Junubun sides. Okay? Khilafun opposite sides. Akhtar all the surrounding sides. Okay? So these were your commonly used suruf. We have completed this lesson, Alhamdulillah. And if there are any questions, don't hesitate to ask me. I will get back to you as soon as possible. Okay? With this, we're going to